News Bulletin from Power 102 Digital.
It is Friday, 15th March 2024. Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago. This is news to 6 a.m. on News Power Digital. Property tax payments have been suspended with immediate effect until further notice, according to flyers posted at the Board of Inland Revenue. The highly controversial property tax took effect from January 1st, 2024. Speaking in December on the Finance Bill 2023, Finance Minister Colm Imber noted that the implementation of the property tax was just a couple of weeks ago at that time. He said, "We do intend to collect property tax in 2024, Imber told the Parliament when he announced adjustments to the regime, including the annual deadline. A release from the Finance Ministry in November stated, for the record, property tax makes clear property tax is only 3% of the annual rental value for residential properties, after first deducting 10% from the annual rental value. Meanwhile, a proposed amendment to the property tax law is being laid in the Parliament this afternoon and may just lower the tax rate. The bill to be laid in Parliament is expected to make changes to some parts of the Property Tax Act, including an assessment on the 3% rate of taxation involved. The bill will be debated in Parliament this coming Monday, according to sources. This after yesterday's development, 2 weeks after the March 1st start date for payment of the tax, where signs were posted at the Board of Inland Revenue indicating the payments were suspended. And the opposition UNC is calling on the government to immediately clear the air on what it describes as confusion surrounding the notices circulating online and also at government offices regarding the alleged suspension or alteration of property tax. It said it is awaiting further clarification and details from the Ministry of Finance. An autopsy conducted on Tuesday revealed that Hannah Mathura, then 18, was shot in the head. Police believe she was killed and buried in a shallow grave 7 years ago on her family's property. Her father, Andrew Mathura, was wanted in connection with the death of his daughter, was laughing when police held him at an apartment hideout in El Dorado, Tulapuna on Wednesday night. Mathura did not resist when police went to Goya Street, El Dorado, to arrest him. The woman who said the ordeal was scary for her was a witness. While on the run from police for over 24 hours, Mathura reportedly managed to visit a hideaway spot twice and purchase food and toiletries at a grocery nearby. The apartment he was held on Wednesday was initially used by his brother, who moved out some months ago after he had some of his toes amputated because of complications from diabetes, neighbors indicated. Andrews was wanted for questioning at the death of his daughter. His wife was also held on Wednesday. Jumbo, the patriotic flamboyant nuts vendor who was famous for the way he tossed packets of nuts to customers at sporting events with accuracy, died on Wednesday night, just 1 month shy of his 66th birthday. His real name, Keith Martin, popularly known as Jumbo, was a regular fixture at the Queen's Park Oval and the Hazley Crawford Stadium and other sporting venues throughout the country. He started off selling nuts at the Queen's Park Oval in 1971 and became well known for his direct and long-distance throws to nuts customers. Yesterday, the Trinidad and Tobago Football Association paid tribute to Jumbo, who they said was an ever-present supporter and figure at our matches, including the most recent Nations League quarterfinal win over the U.S. in November. A 40-year-old man is expected to appear virtually before a master of the High Court today, Friday, after being charged Thursday morning with possession of a firearm and the possession of ammunition. Franklin Etienne, 40, a farmer of St. Anne's Road, St. Anne's, was arrested on March 13th and later charged by PC Blades of the Port of Spain Divisional Task Force, who continued investigations into the seizure of a Luger pistol with 17 rounds of 9mm ammunition that allegedly occurred around St. Anne's Road in St. Anne's. In news of the region, Antigua and Barbuda Prime Minister Gaston Brown defended his decision not to attend a recent meeting of CARICOM leaders to discuss the Haitian crisis. A note from this week's cabinet meeting said the Prime Minister's physical presence was not needed, as all leaders were not required to attend in person. Mr. Brown felt it was necessary to stay in Antigua and Barbuda after being absent from the Twin Islands for a week to attend meetings in Guyana and St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And finally, media reports say hundreds of people have been rescued from a scam center in the Philippines that made them pose as lovers online. Police said they raided the center on Thursday and rescued 383 Filipinos, 202 Chinese, and 73 other foreign nationals. They said the center, which is about 100 kilometers north of Manila, was masquerading as an online gambling firm. And that is news to 6 a.m. right here on News Power Digital. We'll have major news coming your way at 7 a.m.
Up to date and credible. Power 102 Digital.
Alrighty, good morning, neighbors. Good morning, neighbors. Good morning, neighbors. It is Friday. Yep, let me say it one more time. It's Friday. Thank you so much for joining us on the Power Breakfast Show this morning. Of course, full cast in. We just heard from Super Paul. Yep, Dr. Paul Richards. We'll hear from Wendell Stephen, Richard Ragoobarsingh. We got Ruben. Shane is back out. My name is Steve Khan. We'll keep you company and take your calls and keep you informed and entertained. It is 24 degrees at Piarco International Airport, 25 beautiful Sister Isle of Tobago. And quickly taking a look at traffic. Going through Chase Village, northbound, got some traffic there. Chaguanas Main Road is beginning to build. Charlieville towards the interchange, volume everywhere. And just by swim call to the bus, you'll get some traffic. And before you say hellos to some of our messages, let's say good morning, get out to Super Paul.
Good morning, Steve. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, my friend. How art thou?
I'm glad it's Friday.
You can say that again. It's been a busy week. It's been a busy week. All right. Let's use Sunday's hellos first thing this morning. I have to check WhatsApp and so on. And yeah. Right. So let's use Sunday's hellos first thing this morning. Let's say good morning, good on to Anthony Tinto. Good morning to you. He's locked on. And also happy birthday to Nakisha Morrison in Plymouth, Tobago. All right, so Nakisha Morrison, good morning. Happy birthday. DJ Ray out in Tampa. Saying happy St. Patrick's Day to the Irish community in Trinidad and Tobago. Yeah, we have a lot of Trinidadians that are Irish. We celebrate St. Patrick's Day here. Marcia Rock in Orlando. Isasha in London. Wendy and James. Ray out in West Palm Beach, Florida. Gloria Gray. Maria Cillier. Wayne B. in Covington, Georgia. Edwin Marshall out in, good morning to you. Rena Boudou Jennings in Petey Valley. Gloria Gray saying good morning to Andrew and Andrell Sedeno and out in South Oropouche. All right. See George in New York. Boy Bedesi out in Davie. Boy, you will fall out. Oliver Man Warren, good morning. Slick Money Grip. Good morning. Brennan Smith. Yeah, that's Beefy Smith out in Goodwood, Tobago. Pearl Cordes. Herda Wells. Doreen Pear. Patricia Defoe. Okay. Good morning, Patricia. Shuin Kerr. Anyhow, Miguel. Okay. Trinidad Margot, the Great. Good morning. In WhatsApp, we have Danraj in Central. We got Val. We got Michael in London. We got Captain Ron. Good morning to you guys. Hope all is well. Sankofa, good morning. I got one more here. Yeah, Cameron, good morning to you as well. All right. Oh, my goodness. Somebody buy a lotto ticket. Somebody buy a lotto ticket.
Good morning, Ragoobarsingh.
Hi, good morning, guys. And good morning to our listeners and viewers, wherever you are. on this wonderful Friday morning. The weekend has begun, and don't you forget it.
Yeah.
And of course, nothing like the Power Breakfast Show celebrates the weekend. Because we look forward to it every week.
Good morning, Stephen.
Morning, Stephen. And this week is no different.
Stephen, you call me?
Yeah, you call him Stephen. I got a little confused. I say, who we have Stephen Williams? I thought Stephen Williams was a guest or something. I said, who we going to get more bacchanal?
I thought by now you become accustomed to being called the wrong name.
Well, yeah, but not Stephen. I already have too many Stevens in my life. I don't want no more.
Frank. Oh my God. Curtis, that feels so good. Oh, sorry.
Anyway, good morning, Paul. Good morning, Steve. Good morning, Richard. And good morning, Trinidad and Tobago and listeners all over the globe. It's a dusty, hot, sunny,
it's warm,
hazy Friday morning. Oh,
are you seeing sun though?
Well, not sun as yet, but because actually there's a cloud in the east, so we might get a little rain today. But the place has been so dusty. My eyes have been watering all night, and I've been rubbing them.
That is not because of the atmosphere.
Well, it could be because it want to cry, but it don't know how to. Yesterday was a day of. What was yesterday's date?
14th.
March 14, 2024. Remember that date? Eh? I'll tell you all why somewhere down the road.
She came back?
March 14, 2024. Okay?
She came back.
I'll tell you about it.
You're still in love, right? You realize you're still in love. That's why you still have all these feelings. You're still in love.
What is he talking
love
about?
is in the air.
You haven't let go yet. That's the problem. You
What
have
is
to
he
let go.
talking
I mean,
about?
you're still in love, you know. That was a profound love, you could tell.
What are you talking about?
Your last real love.
Anyway, let me see if I have birthdays. Good morning, Rena. Good morning, Charmaine. Good morning, Deborah. Good morning, Gloria. And everyone else who messages me from
Better
time
to have
to
loved
time.
than lost than to never have loved at all, you know, Wendell.
That's true. That's
So
true.
don't feel bad. You're still love, and that's all right.
But I am a lover, you know. I love easily, you know. At least I used to. But I don't anymore. I think I'm incapable of love right now.
That's not
I
true.
actually think. No, I think I am. I think I am.
Because you're still in love. So there's no room for anybody else to love, for you to love.
Just so you attack it, I just give you a date and you go off on that date.
Why am I say I'm attacking? Because I say you're still in love.
What the hell is this, boy?
It's okay. It's okay, Wendell. It's okay.
Listen, the amount of news we have had to deal with this week, is Trinidad and Tobago its own episode of Criminal Minds, you know.
May I let you all know that I've booked Philip Alexander for next Tuesday.
Well, good day.
Yeah, I thought of you. So
good day of the week.
I didn't want
I can't even promise you that I'll listen.
turmoil. Okay.
Well, if we want to deal, what we have in Mental Month? Is that what we call in March? Mental Month? Mental Awareness Month?
Well, I don't know if this is related to mental health awareness month, but all of a sudden, property tax has been suspended.
Mm-hmm.
In a surprise occurrence development yesterday, people who went to Ministry of Finance offices saw signs on the door. I got it about 9 o'clock in the morning, but I thought this person was maybe sharing fake news. And they sent a picture to a WhatsApp group that I'm a member of. And they saw closure of the property tax suspended until further notice, only for it to be confirmed later in the afternoon by the Ministry of Finance. Mm-hmm. In after all the hullabaloo and babaloo and this and that and the other, they started it. And apparently they're supposed to lay some bill in Parliament this afternoon.
Yeah,
that
today,
some of the newspapers are suggesting may lower the taxation rate even more.
From 3% to 2%.
We will see. This is just very, very interesting development after all the pushback the government had received and stayed steadfast in their resolve to implement this residential property tax.
Yeah, let me tell you what it is they're going to do today, because I got that message last night.
Can someone who is in possession of, and I know many people may be, send me a copy of the bill that's supposedly supposed to be late, please? I know that we have some sources who are very
Yeah.
deep hands that go deep into the establishment.
It says introduction of a bill entitled An Act to Amend the Property Tax Act, Chapter 7604. Reference is made to email dated March 11th for the 15th sitting of the House of Representatives, 12th Parliament, to be held on Friday, March 15th at 1:30 p.m. The leader of the House has advised that at said sitting, it is the government's intention to introduce a bill entitled, open inverted, an act to amend the Property Tax Act, Chapter 7604, open brackets, in the name of the Minister of Finance, close brackets. Immediately thereafter, it is expected that the government will move that the next stage of the bill be taken on Monday, March 18, 2024. To this end, a copy of the Property Tax Amendment Bill 2024 is attached for your attention, please. And this is addressed to each member of Parliament, member of the House. It is dated March 14, 2024. Signed by Brian Caesar, Clerk of the House.
So it's basically to reduce the rate from 3% to 2%.
That's what I'm hearing.
That's what we're hearing, but there's no confirmation that there's going to be some amendment to the Property Tax Act. But the newspapers are suggesting their sources indicate that it's to reduce the percentile, of the property tax from 3%.
Amazingly, that was a suggestion that came from the last Prime Minister, the town meeting he had now, the conversations with the Prime Minister. A gentleman got up and made that suggestion. That was done at Skiffle Bunch Panyard, I think. If I'm not mistaken.
And he said do it on a phased basis. I remember that comment.
Yes.
A tiered basis or a phased basis moving up so it will not hit people as hard.
Yes.
But also you have a lot of re-evaluations that have to take place because a lot of people have I don't want to say criticized, but have challenged the valuation that they got with regard to their property. I don't know if you guys would have received the valuations
The
already.
gentleman spoke of a scenario, if I remember correctly, where he's in a neighborhood and people who had added to their properties got lower evaluations than people who had their properties not amended. And I think that gentleman mentioned the same thing. It may have been somebody else, and they were confused. And it's not the first time we've heard reports about people having discrepancies in how they're assessing or evaluating properties, because I add 3 rooms, you ain't do nothing, but my property tax evaluation lower than yours.
Yes.
So one would imagine that if you think logically, that if I added 3 rooms, my rental value would have gone up.
Well, apparently there are a lot of queries concerning the valuation that people have been assessed at. Because, people have been assessed at annual rental values of, exorbitant amounts.
I have gotten no documentation at all.
Indicating that your property, for example, that your property for rental will accrue $12,000 a month, I'm just saying, or $13,000 a month. And, and people are like, what? When should I could rent this property and get $13,000 a month?
Yeah.
So it's a lot of
people have gotten no assessment in the mail at all.
I've gotten none.
A lot of people have gotten none. Some people have gotten, and some people have received none. So
my sister got, and she compared it with an immediate neighbor, and the immediate neighbor one was a lot less than hers. And I'd messaged someone, and they showed me how to go about to advise her to lodge the complaint now.
The challenge. I don't know if the challenge is, I think it's a form you fill out and send in, not so?
Yeah. So she would have
I will reach out to the Minister of Finance again over the weekend and see if he's willing to come on the show on Monday.
That'll be fine if he
set me
comes.
up twice already,
to clarify this.
I know I don't have blonde hair, but
Eh,
you gotta
so you
set me
can
up.
get blue eyes. Everybody, I see a lot of people sticking those contacts and get blue eyes.
Speaking to the ability of our former co-host to get him on.
You don't realize snarky comments when you're getting it, Wendell. It's bypassed sometimes.
I don't know if it's a blonde hair. Or we could probably get Brian Manning. So if we don't get the minister, we get Brian Manning. We'll get one of the two on Monday, okay? If Brian is clear to talk. Because I'm trying to figure out, this has to come to the Senate too.
Yes.
And the Senate is sitting on Tuesday, and they've already set an agenda for that, or maybe they'll put it in. I don't know. They can, So we see how it goes. A very disturbing development, changing gears, that is full stop, new paragraph. Indentation, a new paragraph, where the autopsy on this then 18-year-old girl, who would have been 25 years old now, Hannah Mathura, is said to have died from a gunshot wound to the head.
I tell you, that's an episode of Criminal Minds there, right?
I don't know. I swear to God, it's a movie. I swear to God.
And when they arrested Andrew Mathura, the father, who is being questioned by law enforcement related to this discovery, this grisly find of the girl's skeletal remains in the backyard in a shallow grave. They said he was laughing.
Yeah, he was laughing. He mad?
No, don't do. I no. We like to say that, but no. That seems to try and I'm not saying you doing it, eh? But when we say he mad, it kind of softens. Well, he wasn't in his right head. Well, maybe he was.
Well,
if he's the person who's responsible. Let me put that.
I don't know if you listened to the news last night with a family giving an account of what those children would have had to go through growing up, and neighbors giving accounts of what those children would have had to go through growing up.
And again, and I agree with you, and I am not ascribing that to mental illness on anyone's part. We still don't know if the father and or the parents are the ones, so let's be careful. They're being questioned. I don't know that any charges have been laid yet.
But Wendell, maybe you can clear this up for me. I swear that when I was listening to that, I think it's the same report I was listening to last night on the news. Didn't they say that the Children's Authority visited the house even before Hannah Mathura was murdered?
If I'm not mistaken, I think they were, because the reports went in from neighbors, The neighbors heard children screaming. They actually saw the alleged perpetrator beating the child with a piece of wood.
Right. And I'm saying that if that is true, because that is a witness report from somebody that has not been challenged or verified, I am not ascribing it to any mental illness, because some people could be just very sick and
evil like that.
And evil. And also there are reports in the news media about another strange occurrence at that property being attached to a young Jiro, some girl named Jiro, who I think may have committed suicide some time ago.
Well, they're saying she may have, but they have no evidence to support that. That's in Tobago.
In any case, what is clear?
That's the model. The one was the model,
yes,
not so?
Exactly. There were some bizarre occurrences at that property.
Yeah. A bandit was killed on that property as well.
And some robbery attempt where somebody was coming through a window and killed or something like that.
Yeah, that's what Steve now referred to there. That is an episode of Criminal Minds. I binge watch Criminal Minds.
But in one of the articles that I would read an issue, and I don't know if you all saw it. There is also, going back in time, a connection to the mother and baby that were murdered in Wallerfield.
Yes.
That is a bizarre place. And I guess when the authorities, including the Children's Authority and the police law enforcement, debrief those children, I'm guessing the stories you will hear. We haven't heard anything from the wife yet. I think she has also been detained and is being questioned by police. Let me tell you something.
But there's a whole bunch of siblings living in the same, apparently in the same compound, you know, because of whatever property battle that's going on or whatever.
Oh, but including the man who's been held and his siblings?
There is a
the Giroux side. Yeah,
the Giroux family.
Because they said, because they mentioned that one of the, I think, was it the father of the wife?
Yes.
Is it the father of the wife? And he's like 100 and he lives there too?
Yeah, he lives there at 100 years old. He's still there. I tell you, it's an episode of Criminal Minds playing out in that place. Or played out in that place.
It's just, you know, the one thing we know for sure is that a young woman died.
Yeah.
Under really horrible circumstances.
Unnatural causes.
Well, murdered?
And now she was murdered because she was shot in the head. She was killed.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. She was murdered.
Of potential abuse that would have been occurring. We have reports that maybe reports were made to the St. Joseph Police Station and or the Children's Authority, without intervention.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what it's just very. I saw Minister Donikoff coming out and chastising the neighbors for not reporting. But one of the neighbors said they did report it.
Yes, she gave a blow-by-blow account of what was going on and how many times she called the police.
Well, it had to be reported for the Children's Authority to have been involved.
True.
Because they talked about the Children's Authority being involved even before Hannah died, and I'm like. So what? My thing that my mind went to, well, what was the Children's Authority doing then? Because it has now come on your radar.
Mm-hmm.
How could a child die and disappear, and the Children's Authority, from the time you started visiting the home, didn't even realize the child was dead? Nobody knew.
At that time, she would have been 18. So even if it didn't fall in the review of the remit of the Children's Authority, they could have reported to police for action. But there were other children, because one of the children now is 17 at the time, minors. So if there's a report that an 18-year-old, what the report was regarding her or the others, you're right, they should have acted and or engaged the police.
Let me tell you something, and this is my take on this incident, right? I have no evidence to support what I'm about to say, but there's my gut feeling that when the police, or if the Children's Authority went there, that they were denied entry. And because of the place that they went and maybe the type of people that they're seeing, they decide they turn and walk away. Nothing else but that went on there.
That is not the Children's Authority, Wendell.
That doesn't make
that you hear abuse of children and you reach and you walk away.
That's part of the law.
That's how it functions.
That's how I feel. That's my gut feeling about what happened. I feel
I should have won a road march this year.
I may be totally wrong, but that's my gut feeling about what happened in that instance.
Well, if that happened, if that happened, if your gut is right, Wendell, if that happened, then it's shame on the Children's Authority.
Well, the state also dropped the ball. If you have to believe that reports went into police and so on, the state dropped the ball in this instance also. Yeah. And this man, however, because I read a report from Dr. Wendell this morning, who said he explained, don't blame the children because of the syndrome, what this man, the kind of level of control this man would have had over them, right? May have had over them. And I believe that. I believe that he was such
Who blaming the children?
Huh?
Who is blaming the children? Who blaming the children?
No, he is saying don't blame them.
But nobody.
Why would anybody blame them?
Well, people may say, well, do all you know what's going on with all your relatives or with your
No,
sister?
nobody.
And
I
nobody
have
said
heard no
anything?
one blame the children.
I heard nobody blame the children. Where
And
that come
children are
from?
usually under the control of the parents, particularly if the parents are abusive.
Well, Dr. Varma Deyal I don't know who he's referring to, but I think he is correct in what he is saying, and that they were so afraid. They were so afraid that they
That may apply. That may more apply to the mother who may have been under the control or dominance of her husband. As an adult in the house who may not have reported or would not have clearly didn't report an abusive husband, and if he was abusive to the children, he may have been abusive to her also.
correct. This is what Dr. Deyal Singh said. He said, while the majority of them, he said the Matura family had 8 children, including Hannah. And while the majority of them are adults now, Deyal Singh said the public should resist condemning them for not speaking out sooner.
But nobody's condemned them.
He said they may be affected by conditions such as traumatic bonding or Stockholm syndrome. He said traumatic bonding is where the people involved in alleged abusive situations become psychologically bonded or chained to their abusers, making them become like a hostage. And Stockholm syndrome effect is where the victims empathize with their abusers or captors. I believe that's what was happening in that home.
What it is such a tragic sequence of events, and it just I mean that could go on for years in a family and the state not intervene. And how many more families is this going on in where people are afraid, people are afraid, children are afraid every single day of their lives because of an abusive parent?
Richard, I'm certain it's happening right now as we speak in some families. I'm certain. I'm certain people are seeing and hearing things and shoo-shooing or not saying anything because they don't want to get involved. But not when children are at stake, man. Come on. As I said the other day, err on the side of caution. Better you make the report and you're wrong.
Condolences to the family. Condolences to the family, friends, and fans of Jumbo.
Oh, yeah. Jumbo came to Rumbox every single morning without fail. Let me tell you that.
His name was Keith Martin. Yeah. He was 1 month shy of his 66th birthday. Yeah. He made a name for himself. I always call him a patriot because he was always supportive of sporting events. Yeah. And he made quite a name for himself as a nutsman with his accuracy in pelting nuts across.
A lot of people don't know he used to sell corn soup too, right? And St. James there. You know? But he came to Rumbox. He didn't drink, as far as I'm aware. He didn't come to buy alcohol. He came to buy one of those energy drinks almost every morning. And then we would buy nuts from him or whatever, especially when I'm there. And we used to have conversations. Jumbo and I used to have differences of opinion with politics. But he always say, Wendell, I'll vote for you. But you see that party, you supported it. So he was like that. He was very outspoken. And then after he left us on the main road, he would ride up and park his bike right by Universal, by the racing pool there on the Western Main Road for the entire day and sell his nuts. In the roadway, so as people driving by, you would stop and buy your nuts. Every single day without fail. He did that.
May he rest in peace.
Yeah, he was. He was a true patriot. And
he was a patriot. He was a patriot.
Mm-hmm.
There are two ways about it. He was a patriot.
Yeah.
Always very often dressed in red, white, and black and supporting whatever national team, whether it be cricket, football,
Yeah. As a matter of fact, he died Thursday. He was by Rumbox Tuesday morning. Because I called Harper, because Harper is the one who interacts with him most of the time. Right? And he was seeking help to get his pension because he was 65. Right? I think he now about to turn 66. Harper was trying to help him with that. You understand? Harper was shocked when he heard it yesterday. I say, see how just so you're here today, and I was actually looking back at my camera footage Because he parks his bike right in front of the entrance every morning, comes in, he will buy a Monster or something to drink, and he would sell his nuts and then leave and go up the road every single morning.
Very entrepreneurial.
Yeah.
He ran a micro business for decades.
Yeah. Yeah.
And clearly he was successful.
Yeah. He migrated at one time, you know.
Yeah, he had migrated at one time, but then he came
to
back.
Canada. He was living in Canada at one time, you know.
Eternal tossing nuts in cool.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's so much regulation about selling food.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, any food stuff, anything for consumption. You know.
But he was the one nuts man you could guarantee would sell out.
Back to the property tax conversation. This is a very, very, very interesting development. I'll say that much. Because this has been a controversial reintroduction that the government has stood by. I made a lot of licks, you know, and they stayed steadfast in their resolve to get property tax back on the books. And it's also tied into the local government reform. You understand?
Yes.
So a lot of weather has been made about the fact that the residential property taxes collected by the borough corporations was going to play a significant role in funding the corporations' projects moving forward.
Yes.
And a lot of calculations went in based on the initial 3% as to how much each corporation potentially could raise to do their works. So this has even far further reaching implications than just the amount. If we are to believe what we're hearing, it's supposed to be a reduction from 3 to 2% for how much funding the corporations will get. Will be able to rake in, that's so?
Paul, you're trying to provoke me.
No.
Because you
I
see
think
me,
I do that naturally.
you see me and that local government reform. You see me and local government reform.
To me, this is another example. This is another classic example of what the PNM government, this government, has been accused of. And the contention is that the government has a really good ability to plan and project, but not to implement effectively.
Local government reform is the biggest hoax perpetrated on Trinidad and Tobago for the last 20 years. I'm not lying to tell you that. And I've been saying that to my colleagues, and they say, no, Wendell, no, nah, it go happen. Until colleagues started to admit after, oh gosh, yeah, like Wendell was right. And I'm convinced it is one of the biggest hoax perpetrated on Trinidad today. Local government.
Well, I want to know how this changed now. But we'll find out what the change is supposed to be when the House sits at 1:30 this afternoon and the amendment bill is laid. What the intention is in terms of change and how it will impact residential homeowners, how it will impact those who may have. So would people have paid already? Would that be a correct assumption?
I don't know that anybody actually went and remit any payments. I don't know.
You understand? And how we are to move forward now, and why this is, you see, it was already confusing and people had a lot of concerns already. How is this not going to add more confusion to the pot?
It's going to add a lot more.
Well, it has already done so because people are confused as to why now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then when you add the local government reform element of this residential property tax collection and what it is intended to achieve on the local government level, I mean, really?
Because you also have, because remember you get the valuation from the what is it, lands and surveys, or whoever it is now, the surveyors, who does that sends you the valuation? It's a division of the Ministry of Finance, and then Inland Revenue then sends you how much you actually have to pay. I don't know how many people have actually received that Inland Revenue
valuation.
The document saying how much you have to pay. I think we're losing Richard from time to time.
He might
Guy Small, I've been saying that for years. Nobody didn't listen to me because they don't like to hear it. But I've been saying that for years. Local government reform, and we have had the UNC, we have had Manning PNM, we have had the People's Partnership, we have had Dr. Rowley's PNM. It's a hoax. They have no concern for local government. None of those governments. None. Okay? They use local government people and then they spit them aside. Okay? And people might say I might be spouting sour grapes. I don't care. But I was saying it whilst I was in local government. And now that I'm out, I could say it even more. It is a hoax. It always was. Okay? Because no member of parliament, no minister wants to give a councillor that kind of authority and that kind of pips, as they say. None.
You know what is also a kind of ancillary discussion with regard to that? Under the new regulations or the new act concerning local government, you could not have another job, right?
Yes.
You were solely, that's what your job was or is. And there was supposed to be remuneration, a certain remuneration package to deal with that. In the SRC, in the 117th report of the SRC, it brought in some of those salaries for those positions. But I found they were very low.
Richard, that was the first indication that local government reform was a hoax. When the Salaries Review Commission, after all them years, could come and give a councillor, could increase the councillor from 4,000 to 5,000, you have to know that that is a hoax.
And that's the only job that these people have. I mean, why would anybody want to give up whatever they do to go into representational politics? Why?
When the proposal came regarding that very element of the act, we asked several questions, including of Dr. Rowley when he was our guest leading up to the local government election, the Prime Minister. What was the rationale in encouraging persons to be councillors, aldermen, etc., in a regime where this is your substantive job without knowing how much you're getting paid? To leave your profession or your business or your main income to take up this position to serve without any indication as to what the remuneration package was going to be. And you know what the response was? And I'm paraphrasing here. We go work it out.
Yes. Well, I used to ask that question in forum that I was part of. I used to ask those questions.
Maybe the whole thing is just collapsing now. Because remember, Dr. Rowley told us this was estimated to start in January when we asked him.
Yes, January.
I laid a question weeks ago. I don't know if it comes up for answer next week or whatever, regarding when the other elements are going to be enacted here. We shall see. Who has papers? Well, Richard can't regale us.
You'd be surprised. He must be pulled aside. I could help you, The Guardian.
All right. It is Friday, the 15th of March, 2024. Let's start with the Express. Beloved Nutsman Jumbo dies at 66. Once again, condolences to his family, friends, and fans. Was Hannah shot in the head? ? Property tax fiasco. Stabbing at Tranquility. 4 students to be suspended. Cops concerned over uptick in ecstasy drug use. Property tax payments on hold. Pure hell for Hannah's siblings. Neighbor, I intervened, nothing was done. And pastor in hiding, fearing attempts on his life. So those are the Express trending stories. Go ahead, Wendell.
Yeah, sure. The Guardian, Friday, March 15th. The main headline is Hannah shot in the head. Autopsy confirms cause of death. Cops look to bring murder charges. Parents remain in police custody. That's the main story. And of course, it's one of the sub stories on page 6. Imber to lay bill for property tax changes today. That's also on the front page. And of course, in other headlines, legendary Jumbo, the Nutsman, dies. Keith Martin, aka Jumbo, plan to find new leadership for Haiti moving forward. Mayor aims to make San Fernando healthiest place in Trinidad and Tobago. That's the mayor of San Fernando, Robert Paris. Laughing dad held after evading cops for 24 hours. Expert recommends tracking system to monitor children. And those are our trending stories in today's Guardian.
I type any question.
You didn't use it?
No, I'm doing it now, but I was typing the questions, so I don't have to delay you. Let's go to the news day now. Matlet man's license suspended for 1 year. World Kidney Day focuses on diabetes. Murder accused on bail, granted bail for having stolen cars. I saw. Anyway, we get into that after 9. Princestown man killed while bathing. Matlet man's license suspended for 1 year, but I read that already. Ferguson seeks injunction to stop Miami US $131 million judgment recovery. Valsin suspect held in El Dorado. Teen's body found buried at Valsine House of Horrors. Griffith SSA asked for pastor to be SRP. And those are some of these stories they used there. For some reason, the page doesn't seem to be trending out. And court to decide on retrial as Cartel's murder conviction overturned. That's Vibes Cartel. It was a big entertainment story yesterday.
Yeah.
I mean, while some must provide enough pipe chug one water, and UNC wants answers on hold on property tax. So those are trending stories in your Express, Guardian, and Newsday for today, Friday, the 15th of March, 2024. Where Ragoobarsingh going again?
He probably doing his transition. All right, let's get the results of our morning poll. Let's say good morning going out to Jimmy, Val, GNC Auto Security. Good morning to you all. And someone just popped in. Jaron Joseph, good morning. We asked you yesterday in our morning poll, are you satisfied that the national security threat related to issues at the SSA has now been neutralized? It's a tie, 50-50. It's a tie, 50-50.
I want to just quickly tell Ambrose Blanc, who said that it's rubbish to say this is a hoax. I gave a history, and it dated way back, 20 odd years, since the UNC. Because when I got into local government, it was 1999. The UNC was in power.
Ambrose Blanc, may I advise you, sir, that there have been several laws passed in Parliament that are yet to be enacted.
I was going down.
That doesn't mean that it actually is on the table because a law is passed there. There's a lot that goes on.
Governments have passed laws.
Yes. There are lots of laws in the books that have not been operationalized. Lots of laws. Anyway, look out at 4 this afternoon on Hard Talk right here on Power Digital. Wendell Fields and his colleagues at the Fathers Association joins the team talking about issues related to fatherhood and in Trinidad and Tobago. So just a program. We'll check him out at 4 to 6 this afternoon with his colleagues from the Fathers Association. So my suggested question this morning is based on our conversation and Wendell's assertion that local government reform is a hoax. So my suggestion is,
do you think local government reform will ever be realized in TNT?
Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine. Did you do headlines already?
Yeah, yes, we did all that.
Okay. Whilst you were transitioning.
Okay, because I have papers. I do have papers.
Okay.
All right.
You can do them again after 7. 222-TALK, 222-8255, etc., etc.
You could make up for not reading papers by writing.
Yeah. All right. So 222-8255, toll free North Americans, 866-525-1099 on Facebook, on YouTube, and of course on WhatsApp at 318-1021. Jaron says no to the poll. Anyhow, Miguel says yes.
Anyhow, Miguel.
What?
Is that a new name?
I have no idea. Boy Bedesi says no.
Anybody feel just because they passed a law, it is a done deal? They're sadly mistaken.
No, yeah. Royalty Forever says no. Shanifa Ali says no. Good morning, Brenda. Isaac Slick Money
Slick
Grip
Money Grip also
says
said
no. Yep.
So do you think local government reform will ever be realized in Trinidad and Tobago? 222-TALK, 222-8255, North Americans, 866-525-1099, people on the web and the app and on our streaming platforms. You know what to do. Send your vote via the messaging portals there. And of course, you can also WhatsApp it. WhatsApp us at 868-318-1021. That's 318-1021. We can take your votes there too. Do
All
you
right.
think
Good morning,
local
caller.
government reform will ever be realized in TNT?
Yes.
Yes. Thank you. Desmond says no. Ambrose Blas says yes to the poll. Helen Prescott, good morning, says no. Esther Adams says no. Gregory Bowers says no to the poll. Michael says no as Long Islander. I've got Black Pearl saying no. I've got Anne-Marie saying yes. Finbar Collins saying yes. Wayne B saying yes. What says you, caller?
Good morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
I say yes.
All righty. Thank you. Good morning. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, Steve Khan, and
Morning.
breakfast crew.
Morning.
Just repeat the question back, please.
Do you think local government reform will ever be realized in Trinidad and Tobago? That's our poll this morning.
To my judgment, I would say no, because you see, it have things that within the government. Right now, I'm not specifying on one. What I'm saying is that there are lots of things that have changed from previous times. And the only way to get certain things done is that everybody have to sit down and see the main point, because after all, people's lives is at home. So this is my comment. Good morning, Mr. Wendell.
Morning.
Morning.
I know. I think Steve Khan just loves to hear your voice, so he allows you to talk and talk.
Yeah.
He
All right.
loves
Thank you. Thank you so much. A lot of calls coming through. Thank you.
That's all, Richard.
Don't drag me
Good
in your
morning,
back and
caller.
Hello, good morning.
Morning.
No.
All right, Showen, thank you. Hill Benj says yes. Julia S. Batiste says no. Wayne Joseph in Ontario, Canada says yes. Michael Robinson says yo. Michael Robinson says yes. Lester Crigwell says no. Finbar Collins says yes. Wayne B says yes. Brennan Smith, which is Beefy Smith out in Goodwood, Tobago, says no. Lorna, morning Lorna, Indy Kali, no to the poll. Marcus Guide says no. Anthony Miguel says yes. Adrian Cotto says no.
Is Anthony Miguel the same as Anyhow Miguel?
I don't know.
We had an Anyhow Miguel earlier on.
No. Eve out in Sugar Guana says no. Thank you, Eve. Okay, Guy Small.
Guy Small, you're right, yeah. But I would have given a historical perspective of local government since I entered 25 years ago. 25 years ago now, we've been waiting on local government reform. All the different iterations of government have promised it and have done things to say they're going to change it. I was extremely confident this time around that we would get it. And guess what? We have had a 2016 local election a 2019 local election and a 2023 local election, all campaigning on local government reform, and we still haven't done it. All we have had changed thus far is a 4-year term, from a 3 to a 4-year term. That's all we have had in local government. Okay? Nothing else has changed.
But getting back to the salaries, Wendell, those salaries were really ridiculous.
Ridiculous that you're giving somebody who's on call 24 hours $4,230 a month. That's what it is now, you know. And it was proposed to go to $5,005.
That's ridiculous.
Can you imagine that?
That's ridiculous. That's not even, you're not even being taxed because you're not even crossing the $7,000 mark to be taxed.
No.
All right. Ron M says no. Joe Sam says yes. Josie Richardson says no. Tapa Sukram. Okay, good morning to Andre. Okay. Okay.
And that just shows you the kind of respect that permeates institutions with regard to local government officials.
Yeah. Trini Rogers says no via WhatsApp.
I sat in.
Because I didn't hear the Minister of Finance raising the issue of the salaries for local government officials as one of the issues.
No.
He didn't raise that.
No. And
So
I had said on
they're
this
satisfied
program,
with that.
I had said on this program, if it's one person only should give that increase to, are the local government people. I said that you could blank everybody else, but give the local government people the increase.
Why would anybody want to give up whatever they do to earn a living to go and get $5,000 a month?
Mm-hmm.
Right. Sexy San Fernando says no. Morgan says no.
I championed the cause in local government whilst I was there, and I'm going to champion it out of there. Trust me, I'm going to do it right here from this medium as long as I get a chance. Because they deserve it.
Good morning, Gemma.
Where's Gemma? Is that not Gemma? That's not our Gemma.
Andre says yes. Yeah. Andre says yes.
That's your Gemma. That's not our Gemma. That's your Gemma.
Yeah, that's what I said. Good morning, Gemma.
You have your own Gemma. Let me tell you something, eh? I said through Carlos John, Rennie Dumas, Penelope Beckles Robinson, Jarrett Narain, Hazel Manning. Who else? I'm missing somebody. Kazim Hussein, Faris Alrari now. I'm missing people. Under the People's Partnership, Chandra Sharma. And who else was there? Who else when he leave that ministry? Who else was there? Hey, well, I can't remember who was the next local government person in People's Partnership. They changed up a few. You understand? And all of them, same thing. The only real hope I had was Mrs. Hazel Manning. She was the only real hope I had. But the government she was in just didn't see it as a thing. You know how many consultations I went to all over this country for local government reform, including Tobago? You know how many consultations they call for local government reform? I used to go, Franklin Khan, forget Franklin Khan. You understand? All over the country. I used to go up on the mic and talk about it. They didn't like it, but I was doing it from a perspective of a local government practitioner. Because I used to tell them it's not even part of the Constitution. And do you know that local government reform will still not be part of the Constitution? That any government who come in could just decide they don't want it. They're not calling an election. Do you know that? Do you all know local government is not part of the Constitution, never was, and is not proposed to be?
Well, there's a constitutional advisory board now, isn't there? A constitutional reform advisory committee. So they're asking for submission. So you can make a submission, Wendell. I think April 15th is
is the last day.
Constitutional report, board number 465,000A. Richard. Give me a break, eh?
Any attempt at constitutional reform, you have to grab it.
4,655A.
But it's a lot to make these submissions.
Okay, all right.
And what you think will make the country better, regardless of who governs, that will make the country better.
Submissions, badly.
All right, well, gentlemen, we've got to run into our 7 o'clock major news, so let's do that right now on the middle of the month, the 15th day. It is it.
This is your news bulletin from Power 102 Digital.
Property tax payments have been suspended with immediate effect until further notice. The UNC calls for clarity on the property tax. An autopsy conducted on Tuesday reveals that Hannah Mathura was shot in the head. Judicial Committee of Britain's Privy Council cites jury misconduct in Vibes cartel matter, and China attacks a bill going through Congress that could ultimately see TikTok banned in the US. Details in a moment. This is news to 7 o'clock on Power 102 Digital. I'm Avril Sintil-Bab. Good morning. Property tax payments have been suspended with immediate effect until further notice, according to flyers posted on the Board of Inland Revenue. The highly controversial property tax took effect from January 1st, 2024. Speaking in December on the Finance Bill 2023, Finance Minister Colm Imbert noted that implementation of the property tax was just a couple of weeks ago. However, Imbert told the Parliament that government does not intend to collect property tax in 2024 and also announced adjustments to the regime, including the annual deadline. A release from the Finance Ministry in November stated that the property tax makes it clear that the tax is only 3% of the annual rental value for residential properties, after first deducting 10% from the annual rental value. Meanwhile, a proposed amendment to the property tax being laid in Parliament this afternoon might lower the tax rate. The bill will be debated in Parliament on Monday. The UNC calls on the government to immediately clear up what it describes as the confusion surrounding the notices circulating online and apparently also in government offices regarding the alleged suspension and or alteration of the property tax. It says it is awaiting further clarification and details from the Ministry of Finance. The UNC is also urging the government to immediately stop the implementation of this tax and re-implement the previous land and building taxes. An autopsy conducted on Tuesday revealed that Hannah Mathura, then 18, was shot in the head. Police believe she was killed and buried in the shallow grave 7 years ago. Her father, Andrew Mathura, who was wanted in connection with the death of his daughter, was laughing when police held him at an apartment hideout in El Dorado, Tunapuna, on Wednesday night. Mathura did not resist when police went to the Goya Street El Dorado home to arrest him. However, the woman said the whole ordeal was scary for her. While on the run from police for over 24 hours, Mathura reportedly managed to visit his hideaway spot twice and purchased food and toiletries at a grocery store undetected by TNT police members hunting him, since he managed to elude them on Tuesday when they first discovered Hannah's remains in a shallow grave at the family's South Valsine property. A 40-year-old man is expected to appear virtually before a master of the High Court today after being charged Thursday morning with possession of a firearm and possession of ammunition. 40-year-old Franklin Etienne, a farmer of St. Anne's Road, St. Anne's, was arrested on March 13th and later charged by PC Blades of the Port of Spain Division Task Force, who continued investigations into the seizure of a Luger pistol with 17 rounds of 9mm ammunition that allegedly occurred yesterday along St. Anne's Road, St. Anne's. Jumbo, the patriotic flamboyant nuts vendor who was famous for the way he tossed packets of nuts to customers at sporting events, died on Wednesday night, just 1 month shy of his 66th birthday. Keith Martin, who was popularly known as Jumbo the Nuts Man, was a regular fixture at the Queen's Park Oval, Hazley Crawford Stadium, and other venues for sports and major national events. He started off selling his salted and fresh nuts at the Queen's Park Oval in 1971 and became well known for his direct and long-distance pelting of nuts to customers. Yesterday, the TNT Football Association paid tribute to Jumbo, who they said was an ever-present supporter and figure at their matches, including the most recent Nations League quarterfinal win over the U.S. in November. The Member of Parliament for St. Augustine, Khadija Amin, is calling on the Water and Sewage Authority to provide an adequate supply of truck-borne water to residents in the constituency. The calls come after reports and videos of a ruptured main along the Churchill-Roosevelt Highway in the vicinity of the K. Donner roundabout. This rupture has resulted in the entire Caroni North system being isolated. You are listening to news on Power 102 Digital to 7 o'clock. Jury misconduct is the reason being given by the Judicial Committee of the UK Privy Council for its decision to quash the murder conviction of Jamaica dancehall artist Vybz Kartel and his co-convicts. The case will be remitted to the Jamaican Court of Appeal to decide on whether there'll be a retrial in the matter. Kartel, whose real name is Adidja Palmer, was convicted on March 13, 2014, along with fellow appellants Sean Campbell, Kahira Jones, and Andre St. John of the murder of Clive Williams. The Jamaican Court of Appeal dismissed their appeal against the convictions, and their cases were in the hands of the Privy Council. And China has attacked a bill going through Congress that could ultimately see TikTok banned in the U.S., accusing it of unjustly behaving like a bandit. The bill passed by the House of Representatives would give TikTok's parent company 6 months to divest from the firm or face a ban on the app. It still faces an uphill battle in the Senate, but President Joe Biden says he will sign it if it's passed in Congress. CBS News has more details in this report.
At this point, this TikTok potential ban bill is going to go to the Senate, where it potentially has, if not a steeper uphill climb to get passed, at least a longer roadway to getting passed. The Senate is a body that traditionally works a lot more slowly than the House does. And we've heard from the Senate Majority Leader saying that he plans on at least taking a look at the House bill, but has not made any guarantees on whether this would get a vote in the Senate floor.
Straight into weather news for the period today till midnight. Trinidad and Tobago generally hot, sunny and breezy with a chance of the odd partly cloudy interval with isolated showers. Tonight will be generally fair apart from the chance of the odd isolated shower. The hazardous seas alert that was in effect yesterday has been discontinued. It is now at a green level. However, the Meteorological Office is still advising marine interests to exercise caution along northern exposed coastlines. Look out for a forecast maximum temperature of 34 degrees Celsius at Piarco International Airport and 32 degrees Celsius at Crown Point in Tobago. It is currently 27 degrees Celsius at Crown Point at Piarco International Airport and 28 degrees Celsius at Crown Point. Recapping your headlines to 7 o'clock, property tax payments have been suspended with immediate effect until further notice. The UNC calls for clarity on the property tax. An autopsy conducted on Tuesday revealed that Hannah Mathura was shot in the head. Judicial Committee of Britain's Privy Council cites jury misconduct in Vybz Kartel matter, and China attacks a bill going through Congress that could ultimately see TikTok banned in the U.S. I'm Avril Sindhill-Bab. That was news to 7 o'clock. There is more news coming up at 12 noon and an update at 8 o'clock this morning. For more details, log on to power102fm.com.
Up to date and credible. Power 102 Digital.
All right. Thank you so much, Avril, for our major news. You could join her again at 8 o'clock for our news brief. Quickly looking at traffic this morning. San Fernando, you're like the usual. Galaconda, Connecticut Road. That's the only one got some volume. If you're on southbound on the Solo, you want to get into San Fernando, that onto Taruba Link Road, you've got some traffic. All right. Going to California, and I should say Caxton Bay and California, you've got it. Rivulet Road is heading north on the Solo. Not too bad. You'll get some traffic as you approach Monroe Road. Got one accident to tell you about. It is eastbound, the Churchill-Roosevelt Highway, just before Trin City Lights. Not Trin City Central Road is quite busy. All right, Eastern Main Road, you get traffic from Tacarigua, usual spots. From Chin Chin Road to Ibis Gardens, got it. Maraval, there you go, usual stuff. All right, there you go. Let's see if we have any more votes on our morning poll to tell you about And WhatsApp, let's open up these now. Nothing on WhatsApp. That's it, gentlemen.
All right, so our poll this morning was, do you think local government reform will ever be realized in Trinidad and Tobago? We had 41 people voting in the allotted time, and of the 41 people that voted, 27 of you said no, you do not think that local government reform will ever be realized in TNT, and 14 of you said yes, you think it will be realized. So the noes have it, or the nays have it this morning. Of course, you can continue to vote on this poll throughout the day through all programming, and we'll give you the final results on Monday morning, because the weekend is here. So put a smile on your face, even if you're in a taxi in traffic. Put a smile on your face. It is Friday.
For the people who saying, you know, it don't mean it wouldn't happen because it don't happen in your lifetime. The inference always is within your lifetime. For anything, you know, most things. You know what I mean? You ask these questions. That's the inference. But it's Suraj Rambachan is the man I forget under the People's Partnership. He was the other minister of local government. Because them change ministers like if they're changing jockey shorts. They were changing ministers like jockey shorts at one time. I think it's about 25 different ministers get fired or removed from that cabinet during that 5-year term. They had 5 ministers of national security, one for every year. They had minister of tourism like it going out of style. And they create all kind of ministry, diversity and all kind of thing they create. But that is my biggest contention with local government. The fact that it is not part of the constitution, any of these governments could decide they're not calling an election or they're not bothering with local government, which is what happened on more than one occasion until the Privy Council ruled the other day. You understand? So, again, as I say, I was very hopeful this time around that it would have happened, but again, another local election came about and nothing happened. And we were promised, okay, remember the proposal was to extend it for a year so that we could get everything in place. That didn't happen. Elections came. We interviewed the Prime Minister. He said by the 4-year term is in place, we will get other things kicking off by January 2024. We'll be in March. And we have heard nothing.
So you're saying the fundamental problem with Trinidad and Tobago political parties is that they have a problem devolving power. Is that what you're saying, Wendell?
Of course, Richard. Of course, I'm saying that without whatever word it is used.
Fear or favor.
Without fear or favor.
Malice or ill will.
Malice or ill will. Oh God, you can tell when a man take real out of office, eh? You can tell when a man eating a food.
Fear or favor, malice or ill will.
I just joke here. But listen, nothing is.
I also find, just now, Wendell, just as an aside, I also find senators need to be paid more than what this SRC recommends.
Yeah, $17,000, that is no money.
Yeah, they need to be paid more. They need to be paid more for the kind of work that they do. Yeah.
A non-positioned member of parliament is $17,500. Anyone, whether they're in the Senate or
that's why we considered part-time and you have other jobs.
I know, but they're not serious. They're not serious, and nothing is on the horizon, in my opinion, that shows that it's going to change anytime soon. Because after all is said and done, look what the SRC come up with for local government people. You can't be serious.
No. And they're giving up their jobs.
Yeah. You know how many professionals now there are in local government? Attorneys.
Ragoobarsingh, who gonna give a job for $5,000? When the right man will be making, let's say on average $8,000-9,000 in potentially another job, you say, "Oh my God, I'm going to save my my purchases and take $5,000." You're asking for corruption and bribe.
Exactly. It's crazy. It's
it's not even crazy. It's silly.
It's
silly,
nonsensical.
silly.
And we asked this question over and over and over. And to her credit, the person who kept asking this question in the parliament was MP for Senegal, Khadija Amin. Because she has a working understanding of local government, because she was chairman of Tulafuna Piako.
Yes.
You understand? Yes. She kept asking, what is the projected salary if you are, and she was on the local government reform GSC2 with myself, chaired by then Clarence Ambarat. And the question kept coming up. To encourage persons to come and serve in this new iteration of local government, which is envisioned to be full-time, to provide better service to the burgesses. What is the, well, we work that out down the road. How you just work it out down the road, but don't know how much you gotta make.
Let me tell you something.
Some of those people who are there now would have come in on the expectation that there would be some level of reasonable remuneration for giving up my job, whatever my job was.
And for a full-time position.
A lot of the people who came in that last iteration there did that. Because they saw it as a stepping stone. You understand? But guess what?
I don't even know if there will be resignations, if that holds.
Of course, if you're going to just resign and say, this can't take care of me and my family. Of course that's going to happen. Because you see, right now, until it kicks in, they can have other jobs, you know.
But one person
when those clauses kick in, they're going to have to leave other substantive employment.
One person already resigned, you know. A doctor who owned a medical complex and owned so he said, I ain't going to sit down there for this, you know.
But he's right.
And he resigned.
Who can blame him?
Yeah.
So think about it. The reform going and collect residential property tax. You have a lot more work to do. You have full-time work, and you getting $5,000-$6,000 a month. Make it make sense.
Yeah. Again,
they either assume you are independently wealthy, that you don't need to do another job, and this is just like a side, hustle, that you could do this in my interim as a contribution.
Then bring people in like that.
Or you're unemployed and something better than nothing.
Yeah. You're right, Richard. You're absolutely right.
You're absolutely so right, Richard.
That's exactly who they're targeting. And you know what is another bugbear of mine that I raised personally with the Minister of Finance? The gratuity, or at least a pension for local government people who would have served more than 2 terms. A whole committee was set up to review that and make recommendations. That was done. He assured me personally that it would be done. He would take it to cabinet. They had already calculated what it would cost for the people who would have served more than 2 terms, and then nothing happened. So a lot of people in local government who would have served 10, 15, 20 years, they go home with nothing, when they're done. That's it,
That's crazy.
That's wrong.
That's actually very unfair, and it's wrong.
That's it,
wrong.
It's wrong. It's wrong. What's the man's name? Terry Rondon?
Yeah.
Who is arguably the longest serving local government representative.
Well, Terry, fortunately for Terry served as a chairman of a corporation. The only person who gets anything is the person who would have served as either a mayor or chairman. Imagine you're a pension. You're a gratuity. Imagine you're a deputy. The deputy mayor, the proposal for deputy mayor went from $10,004 to $10,009. $400 extra, $450 extra. Could you imagine that?
And you have to take all kind of bad talk and licks from your burgesses and talk and confusion. And
them can't be serious, man.
No matter what, and then when you have natural disaster issues,
Well, sometimes local government officials use their own money to sometimes assist and deal with issues.
Plenty of them. I went last week Sunday. I was at a cricket finals in Malik, where the local government councillor for the area, Kwesi Antoine, did something there. Now, if he don't get help to do something like that, if he don't get people, businesses to think, you can't do that. And these are officials, councillors, and how many of them I know take money out of their own pocket. Lord knows I used to do it.
You have to do something. If you have to get stuff done, somebody have to do it. I know some people who do it. Not to mention the hours.
Yeah.
If you have flooding, who do you think is be out there first?
Exactly. Anything in a neighborhood. Is the councillor they call in?
Let's take some calls, please.
Yeah, we can do that. Let's go to it. 222-8255, 866-525-1099. Good morning.
Good morning, Steve.
Morning.
Good morning, Dr. Paul. Good morning,
Good morning, my dear.
And good morning, Wendell.
Morning, Miss Dabney.
I had hope for the local government reform. I had hope since Dr. Rowley was in opposition and mentioned it. I was really happy. But, after seeing the SRC recommendation of that small money for local government people, those hopes to be dashed. So I don't think I have hope anymore. And I know I am disappointed with Dr. Rowley and CNN for that, because I believe if local government was really to be effective for our roads and drainage and stuff to be really effective, local government has to be the one doing it and not central government. So I think when Dr. Rowley, I thought in this 5-year term, he would have done it. That ain't coming to pass. I certain that ain't coming to pass again. I think that part is a failure for me, because that's the most important thing. Local government is your most important representative, not so much the MP. You will call on the MP every minute and they still don't do anything. It's people who live there to see about things for you. And I could talk about that personally because my roads have been in a horrible state. And who is going to fix those roads now? Who is going to fix the drainage on my street where I live? The area where I live. So that ain't happening in a long, long time. So you all have a good morning. By the way, before I go, my son told me yesterday, one of the boys from the home in Boston was going to school with him. I said, what? Well, in fact, both boys were at the same school, but one of them was at his year. And he said he used to act kind of weird. So, I don't know why. What the father called. You all have a good day.
I got a copy of the bill to be laid.
I saw that.
It is proposed to move from 3 to 2%.
Yippee.
Well, in some cases, that'll mean a lot, eh?
Yeah. It reduces it.
It reduces it.
Could be worse, could be 1% more.
Yeah. I suppose they must be mindful that 2025 is a general election.
But you think that is absent of anybody's mind in the political arena? Come on. It is already such a contentious reintroduction. You understand?
Didn't you hear Wade Mark? Didn't you only hear Wade Mark on the platform on Monday?
No, I didn't.
He said when the UNC returns to government in 2025, we will scrap the tax. We will scrap the tax. Monday he said that. He promised to scrap the tax.
My people.
So they're going and take this property tax thing as a political football again.
Well, by the suspension yesterday, it had not been mainstream news for a while, right? There had been people questioning the issue of the valuations and the equity of the valuations and stuff. But now with that suspension and now with the bringing back of this bill this afternoon, and even with a reduction, which I'm sure everybody will welcome the reduction, it is again going to become mainstream news and a political conversation.
Because you know why? They will also start to spread propaganda about the amount and tell you it's this amount you're paying. So the whole narrative will just switch from the property tax, the percentage, to the actual amount. They did it the other day. Till the Minister of Finance had to poor fella. I used to feel sorry for him. Every minute he had to debunk this whatever news was going on, whatever propaganda was going on, with what people had to pay. I feel sorry for him. I actually feel sorry for call members. Imagine that.
222-8255. Toll free North Americans 866-525-1099. Our lines are open so you can touch our toes.
Rasta wig, blonde wig. You know, the thing about it is that I think to be fair, it is the first time, and Wendell, you're right, the conversation has been here for 20, 30 years. But to be fair, it is the first time new law has been passed. But it seems that the operationalization of that law is taking an inordinate amount of time.
No, we had under the People's Partnership, we had the proportional representation changed for aldermen, because in most of the corporations there were 2 aldermen, not 4. Now in all the corporations there are 4 aldermen, and it's based on proportional representation. It's based on votes at the poll for the at the local poll.
And you're right, but I'm talking about what seems to be a comprehensive reform or re-engineering of what local government is supposed to look like and do.
Which is why people really thought this wrongs, okay, yes, it's going to happen. I too was convinced that, okay, for sure it's going to happen. Right? And then they put in the former Attorney General.
Yeah. We have a call, gentlemen. Good morning.
Good morning, Richard, Paul, Steve Khan, Wendell.
Good morning, Mr. Patrick.
Yeah. On the topic about the Val Park fiasco. You know,
Valsane, eh?
Huh?
Valsane.
Yeah, Val Park right there, the mall right there is right behind it.
Yes, behind the mall.
Yeah. I was reading an article some years back where it was talking about a certain family structure. Apparently, that was a family structure where everybody was living in that family compound. Because I hear the brother who was in the apartment, who I hear the brother put out and I hear he sentenced. Because he's something he was sick. But when you have a family like that and it's private and it's secretive, it's that kind of cult. So nothing happening in the family come out because the children can't speak about it. And you want to know how they just keep that kind of secret in families. You know that thing happening in families the children can't talk about? You know what?
Yes.
But how is that abnormal, Mr. Patrick? That is basically so for most families that I know.
Yeah.
That would be family business.
That's family business. It mustn't at all family business. But it have abuse, it have all kinds of things going on in the family, but you can't talk to nobody. You're going to school and you're functioning on that dress, or you're going to work and you're working and then you run straight back home, and nobody really know what's going on, and everybody's smiling and looking nice when anybody comes to the house. I read one of these things. You know?
But some may argue, Mr. Patrick, that in most family circumstances, and I'm not talking about where there's abuse, there is a level of dominance and control from the parental figures in the family.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but then we have to educate children. We have to educate children that sometimes it's good to talk to a counselor or a teacher or a pastor or a pundit or something about what's going on in your family.
The only reason this came out is because the young man came of age and started to work. Clearly started to get some level of agency. Mm-hmm. You understand? And decided at some point, you know what, I think I feel strong enough now to go and report what I know happened to the police. And that is what tipped off the police and enabled them to go with the backhoe from the corporation to dig up and find this thing,
Yeah, these ropes always have an end,
But apparently, well, Wendell, correct me if I'm wrong. In the story last night on news, they said that the police had gotten notification of the issue before but they didn't do anything of the potential murder and burial I'm talking about. And they did nothing because they said they needed more than just somebody saying it or something like that.
Yes.
Something like that they said last night.
Yeah.
Because
I heard that.
because you want to ask yourself a question, if this man has incestual relationship with his daughters too, how much daughters he have, you don't know. Because apparently the wife was afraid of the man. Because she hiding in a different place.
Hmm.
You understand?
It's a sad story. It's a very sad story.
To the police.
Well, it's a sad story, and we don't have any evidence of what you're suggesting, Mr. Patrick.
Yeah, but
Let's not go down. Let's not go down.
No, listen. I ain't talking about the guy alone. I read sometimes where a father has children in basement and they can't get out and all.
We have had horror stories all over the world concerning children.
Right.
And
what about
horror stories?
Human beings, when they are rotten, can be very rotten.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, boy. Children need to know when something going wrong. Talk to somebody now.
Yeah.
Talk to somebody.
Yeah, that's it. Say something.
Well, the other thing too is that, and this is a conversation I had with someone yesterday. What is the role of the schools? Because apparently all these children were highly intelligent, high functioning in academic circumstances.
Scholarship winners.
Stick up in right there, Paul. Stick up in right there. Because I know I was to raise something. And I don't, Richard, if you listened to the news report too last night, I don't know if you picked this up. That apparently, this is what I picked up, so correct me if I'm wrong, that Hannah was a slow child, and that's why she was beaten and abused by the father, because she wasn't as bright as the other children. That's what I picked up from the news last night.
Well, they suggested that. They suggested that. I don't know if that was the reason why, but they suggested that she was. And interestingly enough, one of the boys, they were homeschooled generally, yeah, Paul?
Yes.
They were homeschooled. Mm-hmm. And the boy, one of the boys passed to St. Mary's College. Mm-hmm. The father beat him. Apparently, this is in news. Mm-hmm. Allegedly beat him for passing St. Mary's College. And eventually had him transferred to Hillview.
I don't agree with the beating, but I understand why the father would want him to go to Hillview.
No,
I understand that as well.
They said he was beaten. And then they said some of the other children were scholarship winners.
One of the news reports said that the Hannah had a disability.
Yeah. Apparently, she was autistic. That's how the report came out last night.
Well, as I was about to say, when Wendell interjected that, if a teacher is trained in a particular way, you can identify when something is wrong with a child or children. Mm-hmm. Even if they're high functioning academically, that something emotionally or socially is amiss with this child.
Yeah.
And if the children
be dealing with that kind of abuse, because I remember, as I tell you all, my wife, my then wife, worked at the Child Protection Unit. She was one of the first officers there, and she used to have it hard because all hours of the night she would get these calls, and I would have to go with her, to remove a child from a certain environment sometimes. It wasn't easy. It took a toll on her. I remember that.
I always tell you all.
And it's an emotional toll too, huh?
Yeah. When I was doing my undergrad, I went with a female colleague, a female classmate, to Serval. We were doing an academic survey, and part of the reason was to identify what percentage of the children we surveyed in different institutions may have been exposed to abuse, including sexual abuse. And this was 12 years ago, and the eventual outcome of that survey indicated that more than 65% of them were exposed to some kind of abuse, including sexual abuse. And it was myself and a female colleague, and we had to actually rearrange it. We thought we could do it in 3 days because we were interviewing about 300 students. And we had to actually spread it out because after the first day of absorbing that information and seeing how casually girls in particular were saying that, well, yes, my uncle slept with me or my father slept with me, as if they normalized it. We couldn't, after the first day, we were so drained emotionally of documenting that information in that survey. We had to do it over a 2-week period. And we started off with both of us interviewing both the boys and the girls. And the boys were so sexually aggressive to my female colleague, classmate, that we had to stop her from interviewing them because they were overt and obscene toward her. And I'm talking about 15, 16, 17, 14, right. 15, 16, 17-year-olds. So we couldn't allow her to continue because she couldn't deliver the instrument. You understand? And it was so normalized to hear the girls in particular have to, one, endure abuse, and two, so many of them were taking care of the younger siblings.
Yeah.
And and that is then, it was a very, very emotionally draining thing to go through.
Hopefully people in neighborhoods would check themselves and check around, because I remember, Richard, you remember when Felicia Valenzuela used to work at Power 102? Remember the blogs I would do upstairs in the tea room in the morning with her, and she would post them. And one of those blogs, I remember during that time leading up to that local election, I used to talk a lot about children, because local government people interact in the communities a lot more than anybody else, right? So they would be going to these homes and so on. Look for any signs and make that part of your campaign then. You understand?
One of my colleagues, Keisha, said we shouldn't blame it. Keisha wasn't blaming a teacher. You know. What I'm saying is in different jurisdictions, there is a psychological or psycho-emotional debriefing done on all students every 2 years, where you sit with them and you ask them how they're doing. Is everything all right? Is everything all right at home? You feel that you're loved? You understand? So 20 minutes or so debriefing to find out if they're coping with the work, if they have anything they want to talk to build a relationship with the children. And in many of those cases, if the child is underperforming academically, or the child is withdrawn and not acting socially in what one would imagine is a normal way, a typical way, you start to probe and ask, is everything all right? Do you feel overwhelmed? Is someone touching you? So I'm not blaming a teacher. I'm saying it's an opportunity for you to find out if something is wrong.
Absolutely.
Yeah, not that the children will never necessarily tell you, but Beauty Culture raised the point, Wendell, that Hannah may have been autistic, but not necessarily slow. They said she learned differently because she taught herself to play the piano. That was in the story last night.
Yeah.
And that she was very creative. Very creative.
And there's a misunderstanding of children with disabilities, but equating it with a lack of intelligence, and that is wrong.
No, well, what I picked up from the story is that is why she was beaten, because she wasn't academically inclined as the other children.
And
that's what I picked up.
And she may not have been academically inclined for several different reasons.
But she wasn't beaten, she was killed.
Yeah, but she was killed. Yeah.
Shot in her head.
For what we read.
Shot in her head.
So there may be a gun in that house or in some other house somewhere.
It's a very, very disturbing story. Very, very.
There might be a legal firearm in the house. I don't know.
Yeah.
And this man was able to go to a grocery store, pick up what he wanted, and walk.
Yeah.
Get somebody to break open a lock.
Because at the time a picture wasn't circulated.
Why is that strange?
A picture wasn't circulated of him, as being on the run, Nobody knew what he looked like.
Why would a man walking in a grocery store raise an alarm? Particularly the one so far from where he looked like.
Nobody knew what he looked like.
Yeah.
Somebody walking in a grocery store to buy something. What's the big deal?
The neighbor said that if the police had put up a picture, he would have been detained faster.
Yes.
Yeah, person of interest.
I think all things considered, he didn't stay out of the interest, the sight of the police. I don't want to use. I was going to use the word clutches, but
I see a feeling for it, yes, it's a help you.
But I withdrew the inclination to use with Clash. He didn't stay out of the police eye for too long. I think they did pretty well in identifying where he was. Did you see the video? Every time I looked at that video, I thought about you, Wendell.
Which one?
The one of them kicking down the door. Every time I looked at that video, I thought about. I said, "Look, watch. Police Operation Manual 101. Kick down the door."
I don't know if you all see. I don't know if you all saw. I saw it this morning. There's a video that my ACP Maista did where he's in full uniform and talking about the 3Ds, defend, something about your home invasions. He's talking about home invasions, right? But apparently, this is what I picked up from it, that Mr. Maisa did this on his own. It's not part of the corporate communications unit. It's not part of the TTPS releasing a video on home invasions. Like, he took it upon himself to do his own blog. And I'm saying, I'm wondering if that is proper procedure.
You know, another conversation with this, and I'm seeing a lot of people posting on social media, is that if the father is found culpable, I'm saying if, because we don't know, no charges have been laid,
proven guilty,
how can the mother not be an accomplice? Let me tell you something in a highly abusive situations. And I'm not excusing any parental responsibility to report and take care of the child, to report abuse in a household with children. And it goes to what you were saying when that Dr. They are saying in the article he wrote. If a man holding a position of extreme power and dominance, financially and otherwise, physically and otherwise in a household, is abusive, and I'm talking generally here, and capable of what people are suggesting he may have in that household, and what the neighbors reported hearing children crying, and is extremely dominant and powerful in a household, in many of those cases, the wife or mother may be the subject of abuse to her.
Yes.
Severe abuse, and abjectly afraid to resist, object, leave the house and report. You understand?
Yes.
For fear of her life and enraging that man to the point where he kills everybody. Yeah.
Yes.
So, and I'm not excusing any adult responsibility to report abuse of children or anyone for that matter. But I'm saying there are several circumstances that we have to consider in these cases. And I guess hopefully the police investigation and the briefing of everyone will reveal what happened.
But Paul, while I accept that, and I mean that's a very studied phenomenon in terms of people's psychological power over another human being. How do we break through that? How does the state create a safe enough space for people like that to feel that I can report this and it will be dealt with immediately?
I have interviewed women. I did 3 seasons of a series called Survivors on CNNG. And I've interviewed so many women, including the head women who were abused and started NGOs dealing with domestic violence and abuse in the home. And they will tell you that who they are now, and I'm talking about including professional women, lawyers and doctors. Because people tend to think is people who in middle-level jobs or low-level jobs are subject to this kind of abuse and control. Women who are the primary breadwinners in the house, very academically and professionally accomplished, were in relationships with men who they feared so much that they did report the abuse to themselves and their children. So it is a phenomenon that exists in the world, and Richard, you're right, the state should have some mechanism where they have a way to report it.
They have somewhere to go.
So sometimes we feel it's people who are financially dependent on the men. Very often these men are so domineering because abuse is power dynamics.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's a societal part of it where I don't want the world to know my business. I shame at what happening to me. I blame myself in some ways because I'm not fulfilling X, Y, and Z, because it is a powerful psychological phenomenon. I'm not excusing.
And you know what is strange about it? Because those same empowered women, because they are financially independent and stuff like that, also know from an intellectual point of view, I'm in an abusive relationship.
Let me give you an example that comes to mind.
But
who could be more of a powerful advocate for women than Marcia Henville?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Remember Marcia Henville?
She was.
Yes. Yes.
Outspoken, courageous, powerful speaker, very articulate, very public person.
Mm-hmm. Strong personality.
Strong personality. And to hear from persons who knew her well what she would have endured privately.
Yes.
Before eventually being murdered.
Murdered, yes.
You understand? So that's a classic example.
Yeah.
But Paul,
and that's what I'm saying. They actually know that they're in that sort of relationship.
And she's an advocate.
She got murdered.
She was an advocate.
Before Marcia got murdered, she did come to me and ask me about the process of getting a divorce. And so I had advised her, but that was like a week before the entire situation happened. But I also had a friend who was in an abusive relationship, and I did not know. And eventually came to find out, and she had to get away from her husband. She actually came and stayed by me for like 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
And I had no idea where she was.
Yeah.
Yep.
Paul, when you raise the issue of someone who could also turn a gun on someone else too, I thought about, you remember the situation where a man killed his 2 children because whatever frustration he was going through, he decided to end the lives of his family too in the home. He was if I'm not mistaken, he was a general election candidate at one point in time. I'm trying to remember the name and the situation, but I can't. But that just struck me when you spoke about the fact that these people, the wife and children, may have been under that kind of threat. That
And
I will kill a
sometimes
lawyer.
they threaten, if you open your mouth, I will kill everybody. I have interviewed people who went through that already.
But Paul, not only that, because of course, as a legal practitioner, you also interface with people who are trying to do something about it. And they'll give you some of these stories. And I remember once saying that anytime something like this happened, like what would have happened in Valsine,
you would come home and threaten her.
They would use that as a weapon and say, see what happened in Bootle Road?
Yeah. Somebody might be doing that right now to somebody.
Yeah. They use those horrific examples that the society is horrified by. They weaponize it.
Yeah.
And let's not forget that there are men being abused.
Oh, yes.
More than society likes to admit.
Yes.
That is also true.
Very often they don't report it because of how society looks at them. And I've known men who've reported abuse and police have ridiculed them years ago.
That is a fact also.
What kind of man you is? You had your wife beating you, abusing you, come to report it.
Yeah.
So it's a very, very complex situation. Unfortunately, in this case, it resulted in the murder of an 18-year-old.
Yeah.
And how? And again, we have to talk carefully because the autopsy reveals she was shot in the head. We don't know who shot her. You understand?
Yeah. We don't know.
Charges have been laid, but the fact that she died from a gunshot wound to the head, and her body was buried in the backyard of a property belonging to X and Y in a shallow grave has significant implications to one's imagination.
You know what came out of that story too? The neighbors even said that they got the foul smell, and thought it was a dead dog.
Yeah,
and
I
they
heard
admitted that they got that smell back then.
Yeah. All right, guys, we have some calls coming through. Good morning.
Good morning. Did Wendell raise the issue of a candidate who shot his 2 children?
Yes.
Has he been charged, sir?
Remember that? I believe he was a candidate for the PNM. I think it was somewhere in Carney or something.
Yes.
Has he been charged? Is it a done case?
I think he also committed suicide.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he did lose that particular seat. And I don't know if it was the frustrations of being unemployed and so on. And
You know,
eventually,
But there was another guy attached to the PNM, Wendell, from Val
okay,
St.
thank you.
who killed the entire family.
I think it's the same person.
No, he killed his wife and children.
let me Google.
He killed his wife and children.
Look at the Defense Force officer mere weeks ago, who the wife was estranged from him. I think was in the process of possibly divorcing or may have been divorced. And he went back into the house and murdered, but he's on charges now for murder for her and her mother.
Yes.
So this country is replete with situations where people, men in particular, in that abusive power dynamic situation, and in most cases, what we see exploding into violence outside would have been inside all the time covered up, you know.
Yep. Someone knew. I'm seeing a message here from Clint Batiste. Clint is a counselor in Port of Spain. He said, Wendell, how many election campaigns have you been involved in as it relates to local government? All since 1999. Since 1996. I was a campaign manager in 96. I was a candidate in 99, a candidate in 2003, a candidate in 2010, a candidate in 2013, alderman in 2016, alderman in 2019. So that explains it. I don't know if that question now coming in, or I don't know if he now asks it. Because some of the comments seem to be delayed, eh?
Yeah. Morning, caller.
Yeah, morning again.
Ali, yes.
This is a wonderful conversation for me this morning here. I have been around a lot of women, and sometimes you just see a face smiling in front of you, but when you get deep down in the heart, them women already dying. They die mentally, they die because of abuse and all that. I came out of a friend of mine, she called me on Tuesday and she want to talk to me. I said, well, I will see you Saturday now. And Saturday when I went where we accustomed going all the way on Lime and thing, I might run along here and say, your friend not coming to the side. And the kind of abuse that lady was going through to she husband. Nice. And another one in Trinity Mall here. I said, tell you lady, they go and tell her ice cream and drink something. If let me finish work, Mr. Wendell shadow run straight home. That is why you can't go and take a fire come here. Next thing I read on the news, it was on the news, the lady get murdered and she husband went and hide himself and kill himself. Yeah. It's real stories going on here and all have something is, I don't know, mentally ill people who want to control people.
Yeah.
It is a matter of control, abuse. I have books here. Anytime I want to control and abuse people, they're mentally ill. The point we just feel somebody had a diagnosis. Controlling people is a mental illness. Obsession, compulsion disorders. You want to rule people and you reach too far, if I can have control of you. Beat you to subjection. I know a friend of mine that run out and leash your husband. Why? The man said he had to beat woman into subjection. And then they just teaching from a church. They just go to each other. Yeah, out there sick people.
Yeah.
Plenty.
Well, some religious advocates kind of promote it in a kind of way.
When the man...
You don't be a man and you're man in charge.
I asked the girl what religion that is and she tell me the name of the religion. I said, I know that religion years now. Submission by force. Women are not submit. If you can't submit, beat you. I knew to do what's right. And these people are children in the house, like little cults. It's a cult. So here
I don't know if enough attention is paid from even the primary school level about that issue. I always talk about that social contract that we all have as human beings in society and space in which you live. And children may be privy to a kind of behavior pattern with their parents that they will emulate as they get older. And I don't know how much interventionist can our school system be in terms of dealing with those children and rebalancing how they see women, especially men, because by far the majority of that domestic violence dynamic is women who suffer, and how men see women within a Caribbean context of how that macho society, and you know how we sometimes
and see women
culturally
as
look at
property.
women.
They see women as property. You belong to
Sometimes
me.
they do. And how do we start to change that mindset?
Richard, I was saying, Paul, it's not about a macho society. You know. It's about sick people in relationship. Sick people. A real man go love you, woman. He macho, he love you, woman. But you sick. If you man look at another man, you cough in his face. It's control.
Those people feel they're in love too, eh?
Possession, they call that. Possess.
Yeah.
They're not love, like
They
possession.
call it love too. They're calling it love.
They call it love.
They're not wrong. They're calling it love.
Yeah.
We call it mind twisted. And if you talk to some of them people, they're sick, and they know they're sick. You hold the man. You hold the man for something, and the man laughing. I got it.
Well, he may have been laughing for several reasons, because he knows the game is up.
No, sometimes people have a unnatural response to great stress.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a great stress, and some people, they laugh, you know.
Yeah. But you see today, if you're stressed, come down by Rumbox. I have a lot to talk about. Today's a good day. I jump in ahead of Richard. I know Richard I don't play this weekend, so I push in Rumbox. 137 May Western Main Road in St. James. Come down this afternoon. Harper have a lot of stories too, you know.
I might pass the Paul going.
Is a sorority?
Yeah.
Is a
Paul like
sorority?
Paul like afraid Harper. Paul ain't gonna come.
And why would I be afraid of Harper?
You know, because you come once and ain't come back since. So it carried me.
I tend not to come once.
Oh God, Lord.
But you did.
On that note,
so far.
Stephen, intervene, please.
You have a great weekend. Be safe. I'll surprise you and come again today.
Prove everybody wrong and come again today now.
I will come again today just to prove you wrong. Good morning, Zena. Good morning, darling. Call quickly and let them know that is an erroneous concept where I haven't seen. Have a great weekend. Yes, and the refractory period may be a bit long sometimes.
on that note,
I choke theirs. Have a great weekend. Be safe. You know, as one gets older, the refractory period may be extended a bit.
Mine is half an hour.
Have a good weekend. You
have a wonderful weekend.
Bye.
Be careful on the roads. Look out for the young ones. You see why I keep saying this? Look out for the young ones. And remember to let go and let God. Bye-bye.
Have a fantastic weekend, people. Just reminding you that theater will be back. We'll be back on April 13th and 14th at Queen's Hall. We're coming back to Queen's Hall.
I want a PPP.
Love is a walk, and that you should not miss this display. It is a big distressor. Trust me.
Clint, I want to tell Clint
in the comments. Huh?
Yeah, Clint, I want to tell you, stick with local government. Stick it out there, right? You are a young man, and hopefully local government will change in your lifetime. But stick with it. It's one of the good professions. It's one of the ways to bring relief to people. Stick with it, and I know you're a young, bright man and have a lot of hope in the future. Right? So you stick with it, and good to see you commenting on our chat this morning.
Yeah. All right, let's get into our 8 o'clock news brief if he is in.
This is your news bulletin from